Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hollywood Man Connolly with the double bicep, serving as a clapperboard for me to know where I should start the episode. That is the secret. That is the secret technique of people who are in the video editing world. That it is in the contract, but it is a requirement every single time we appear on episode. Welcome to the Daily Combat Podcast. The co-host, co-founder, co-breather of air, winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. I believe you actually might even have the Dave Stockbridge trophy on hand, on deck. It could have actually appeared in the studio in person. Here it is. It's made its appearance, ladies and gentlemen. That is the coveted Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. And it's even written on the, it's engraved the years that you did accidentally drop it to Vince Ronaldo in the early 90s and then Vince Colosimo, not Vince Colostrum, in the late 90s.
Yeah. I mean, these are still traumas I'm naturally still carrying, but nice to be reminded of those personal traumas. So good to have, and thank you to everybody who made this possible, including myself. I guess no, it's impossible to win Dave Stockbridge of the Year unless you are Dave Stockbridge, and well, apparently not. So,
Vince Colosimo or Vince Ronaldo.
Vince Ronaldo. Unless your name starts with Vince. That's the important thing to know.
And a special guest today that we're going to run through a couple of quick MMA updates from around the state of South Australia and the world. We have one of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. This man is also an MMA commentator for the Diamondback Fighting Championship. It is, in fact, Rich Warner.
Rich, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Great to be back.
Rich, a lot of controversy. A lot of controversy over the weekend with the UFC weight cutting, which has been a hot topic of conversation on this podcast over the last 12 or 18 months. And naturally, we saw what can happen when people miss weight, and in the end, made good. But what were your thoughts?
Well, yeah. Well, did he make good? I think, he didn't make good. But obviously, I think it's a week later we're hearing all of the other stories that are coming out now about what actually happened in the back room, and obviously he had to be stopped. It's like a fighter; they never want to quit. They'll kill themselves to get in there. But really, as you guys have talked about a lot, really dangerous. And comes up. Obviously, he had a couple of glasses of water before he got on there, and was about 7 or 8 kilos over. Was it, mate?
8 pounds. It was 8 pounds over.
8 pounds, 4 kilos. And he reached the end of himself in terms of getting that last little bit of water out. But yeah, not even close, really. And he was vomiting, passing out. He couldn't stand up without passing out, we hear. They get to that point, Matt, where, they've done everything they possibly can and there's nothing else to come out. Super dangerous. If he was left to his own devices, which, in amateur competitions all around the world, they're left to their own devices, hopefully with a good coach and good teammates, but not always the case. We've had lots of instances, Matt, especially you remember the Ultimate Fighter, with the dragging them back into. This is how we learned how to cut weight, by watching those guys. And what, you're just dragging the guy. It's not even. He's like, my will is to go out, and I don't care if I lose the fight. I don't care if whatever. And you're like, no, you're getting back in there, and they drag him, and then they slam the door and hold the door shut for another hour.
It was, it's craziness.
Stuff, something's got to be done, fellas. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As we were talking about last week, that weight cutting is a massive issue, a big problem. It does ruin a lot of events, a lot of fights. It is people trying to gain an advantage, stepping into the cage a lot heavier than what they actually weigh for the weight class. Disappointing to see. I was really looking forward to that fight. We're talking about the Khamzat Chimaev versus Nate Diaz fight. That was the scheduled main event for the weekend. Several months of build-up, I'd been looking forward to seeing Nate Diaz get absolutely smashed, and
you're bad, man, just for wanting it. I'm really glad. I'm actually relieved the way it worked out. Nate Diaz got a great fight to finish on. I thought it was a shit quality fight, to be honest. Sounds a bit rubbish. But Tony Ferguson's gone down in terms of his abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least Nate got his win and in a safe way can exit his career, hopefully. With the UFC. I thought the UFC was terrible, I thought. Don't you reckon?
Sorry, what was that?
I thought the UFC's behaviour in setting this fight up it's just terrible. Like I think most people think it was a mismatch. Nate Diaz versus,
well, all of Nate Diaz's fans would have thought that he was going to win no matter what, but they think that regardless as to who he gets put in the ring with. But I don't think that Nate had anything for Khamzat in that fight.
Do you think there was maybe malicious intent in that, given that it was the last fight of the contract, and see Nate Diaz's destroyed his legacy left there in the octagon and a shadow of the man walking out of the cage? Do you think that's what they have planned?
It's a great winner that they've now lost, to another promotion. They want to smash him down as, he's old and he can't do it anymore, but we gave him his last shot. That's I believe, the story that they would prefer, or anybody would prefer. But we're talking about people and people's lives, and this guy's, he's given his heart and soul and his body for this promotion, the greatest promotion in the world, and they just treated him like crap. You want to go for the underdog, and we always love underdogs, and Nate Diaz is just an absolute beast of an underdog. We always love him, and I just hope he doesn't fight again, to be honest. Maybe McGregor.
Yeah, they might do a boxing match. He did talk about in his retirement speech, well, I guess it was a bit of a retirement speech. He had fought the 6 fights on his contract, and so he's out of contract now, not bound to the UFC. When he did his winning speech, he did mention that he was going to step away and get into another sport, and Joe Rogan did say, is it going to be boxing? To which he sort of, skipped around the question, but it's obviously going to be boxing because that's what he's good at.
But that's where I mentioned before, it made good because I think from a fan's perspective, it all worked out okay in the end.
Yeah, we like happy endings. Comes out, I don't know if he can ever go back to that, was it 170 or whatever it was? He's got to go to 180, 185 from here on, just for his safety. And as you said, like ONE FC, they're starting to get it right. It'd be amazing if just everybody did the right thing, and all organisations. These are the new ways to do it, as you guys are mentioning. Yeah.
And what's been your interpretation of what ONE Championship's been doing there? Do you feel that they're on the right track?
Yeah, super huge call for them to go off track and do a completely, big call and ballsy. Well, because everybody could have gone against them. And if you're a fighter, you've got to either choose. Am I going this organisation who does it this way, because it's a whole different category in the same division? It's different size fighters, as opposed to UFC. Okay, well, you've got massive big tanked guys, maybe 3 or 4 kilos heavier than the other division, but it's a whole different weight cutting process. Yeah, it would be awesome to see everybody go down that way, even in local competitions all throughout the world, not just in the big, be amazing.
Yeah, and a few of our guests on the podcast over the last year or so have mentioned the trauma that they've experienced as a result of weight cutting, and in some cases, and especially with the younger women, the other difficulties and issues that they might have as they're developing themselves into adults, and they're starving themselves as young teenage women. And finding that there's a knock-on effect a few years down the track, unexpectedly, and all for amateur competition. They're not playing for sheep stations here. They don't have $1 million check at the end of the fight to look forward to. These are just normal young people giving a sport their absolute best. But in order to do that, they perhaps have to give up a lot of themselves now, and really know what
Can you beat this part of the game, and then you'll have a much better chance at that part of the game where everyone sees. But you can get away with things in the back. And, we just need to rule it out and just make everyone safe. But it's still going on. And, look, comes up. He did the hands on the towel in his last fight, Matty, You got away.
Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
Well, what was so disappointing is, and that's what I mentioned about when we talked about this last week, is the frustration in fights getting cancelled last minute. People, they'll turn up and have a horrendous weight cut, and then they perform terribly in the fight, or the fight gets cancelled last minute. And it's like, it's all based around this weight cutting, and it's almost more of an event as much as the actual fight is. You're waiting to see the day before whether the actual fight's going to happen, and the betting lines can change massively depending on how somebody looks when they step on the scale. Fights being cancelled last minute, people that are fainting, and Camzat weighing in 8 pounds over, doctors telling him to stop. It's like, well, this is a disaster, really. I mean, this is ruining events, ruining fights. And we talked about the ONE FC having their anti-dehydration rule. You can't be dehydrated if you're going to weigh in. And they lost half of their card, before the event. So it's like, how do you go ahead with an event where everyone's still trying to bend the rules? And it's like, okay, well, we've put a thing in to make it so you can't cheat. Now everyone's still trying to cheat, and the event gets scrapped or ruined because now the guys won't follow the rules. So it's very difficult.
It's one of the reasons we don't have more guests on the podcast today. A lot of them just couldn't make the hydration test, and we had to leave them out. We don't want anybody getting injured here in the studio. So, Rich, what's exciting you at the moment about local MMA as you cast your eye across the nation, and you're seeing some familiar names fighting over this weekend, and some big bouts coming up in the next few weeks?
Yeah, well, some. I think Australia and Australian fighters, it's their time. There's been this rise, and we've had some great champions in Whitaker and Adesanya and so forth, who've fought locally in Australia for years before they made it up there. But the likes of, say, Tuivasa, there's this real surge of Australian fighters doing amazing things on the world stage.
Do you think that's inspiring, kids in MMA gyms around the country, and giving them a sense that there's perhaps a path for Aussies in the sport?
Well, I think it's that, we talked about the story behind the story, and what's the UFC's story they want to put out. And I think it's like they've recognised that Australia's a huge market. Like, Australia, we love sports and we love fighting much more than some other countries. It's been big in Australia for many, many years, to the point that, let's do a stadium and so forth. I think some of the biggest crowds they've got is in Australia as well. But I think the marketing behind that is that they're starting to recognise that, which really means this. It means that if you're an Australian fighter, they want you to do good. They want you to win. So they're not going to give
you rivals.
Yeah, they want, they want great names and superstars and building of stories around characters. We've got some great characters, and I think, they're really, like Tuivasa, like they didn't throw him to the dogs in his last fight, which was awesome, which you saw, I'm sure. Shuey Vasa. I'm told we might get a Shuey Vasa at DFC, by the way.
Oh, okay. It is a strange tradition.
If he wins by KO, instead of doing the Shuey, he's going to do the cuppy.
Oh, okay.
The cuppy? Is that just drinking out of a normal cup?
Out of a cup.
Oh, no.
Oh,
God.
Yes.
I just picked up on what you meant. That sounds horrendous.
We'll do that cuppy.
Oh, God.
So maybe we'll hope that he doesn't win. But there's some great stories around Australia. I mean, Dana White's Contender Series about 2 weeks ago, Shannon Turkish Delight. Did you hear about this guy? Dana White's Contender Series, amazing. It's like, obviously, where the best of the best get together and put in a shot. They have a shot to have one fight, and Dana is there and watches. And at the end of the fight, you either get the contract for the UFC or it's thanks, kid. See you later. The other guy gets it, or no one gets it. He doesn't have to. It's brilliant. And Shannon Ross, the Turkish Delight, Australian guy. He did his amazing story to actually even get there. But then, like a day after the fight, he had appendicitis and was hospitalised and almost lost his life. Fought with some crazy injuries and so forth. Amazing, super amazing fight a couple of weeks ago. Lost the fight. Just a Amazing fight, super amazing fight. You haven't seen it, check it out. Lost the fight, goes to hospital, gets surgery, says, "Oh, you're lucky to be alive, but you're back out of surgery. And by the way, someone's on the phone for you." And it's Dana and his manager saying, "Look, you lost the fight, but mate, you are an absolute beast. We want to sign you." So he got,
Wow.
yeah,
Awesome. That's so cool.
yeah. So some
What a great story.
yeah, in the Australian fighting scene. We've also got a different, we've got Eternal, I think MMA, one of the biggest promotions in the country is on this weekend. And we've even got a couple of South Australian fighters who will be fighting on that. And most importantly, we've got Damien Vola, who's going down to fight this week at Eternal, Sydney, I believe, or it might be Queensland, I'm not sure. He's fighting a guy, and then 2 weeks later, he's scheduled to fight at the DFC card.
DFC, yeah.
Really hoping that Damien Vola gets his win and stays safe, because we really want to see him fight again on DFC as well.
Absolutely. And Talia, the Great White Greats, is heading up there as well, I believe, this for this weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very good, sir. And that's right. Yeah. So really good.
Doing my homework. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I told her you're not allowed to fight for anybody else, only DFC, but she said, "Screw you," and she's going up there. Yeah, so good on them, and wish the Eternal the guys luck at Eternal this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so a lot of exciting things going on in Aussie MMA right now, and maybe none more exciting than DFC coming up at the Adelaide Oval, the Holy Grail, the place where sporting memories are made in South Australia, and we'll be there again on the 1st of October, making some magic happen, some MMA magic happen. And what kind of fights are exciting you that are presented on the card?
Yeah, there's we've got a bit of a hybrid show going on this time,
Yes.
We've got, we're not sort of, it's not new to us, because we've, with the Apex Sport Fest, we've got all sorts of different sports, including, of course, that finishes with the big Muay Thai card and then the MMA card. So, we've incorporated Muay Thai and just stand-up striking, as well. So we've got a couple of hybrid fights, as well as some great MMA fights. Last DFC, we had a couple of BJJ fights. We had a tournament of BJJ within the whole schedule of things as well. This time we've got a couple of Sandshoe. I think the way we've legalised it is by calling it Sandshoe.
Yeah.
Not played.
Yeah.
And there's some also interesting amateur fights that, from in terms of things that have been going on in the scenes of Facebook and social media and so forth, and some talk going on with some, young amateurs that I'm really interested to see how things play out with that as well. You want me to go through a couple of the fights?
Let's go through. Yeah, absolutely.
So the first fight is an amateur flyweight fight with a guy who's 9-1, Mohammed Hussein Ibrahimi from Mildura. So we've got a Victorian coming down. He's a blue belt grappler, 2-stripe. He fought at Demolition Series in February this year, and he lost. He's coming back. By the way, I watched his fight. Really amazing fighter, Mohammed Hussein Ibrahimi. Really strong grappler. Just remember one thing. When you remember Ibrahimi and you watch him for the first fight at DFC, the guy doesn't throw any jabs, Matt. No jabs.
No jabs. Is he like Chael Sonnen? Oh, it's all overhands.
I didn't see it. He had plenty of opportunities to have a jab in his first fight. Didn't throw one.
Maybe he was just setting up for the jab.
Setting up for the jab with overhands. That's usually how it works.
Really great intensity, strong wrestler, strong grappler, and really strong in the clinch.
He's coached by Tank Abbott.
Did you say Tank Abbott?
Tank Abbott, yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
He's fighting a guy called Anthony Lulios, who fought about a year ago with us. I think it was at Apex, and he lost that last fight. Anthony, this is a guy who I know well. He's from Cardioflex originally, now fighting under United MMA under Richie Blake there. And I was sort of, they put out a podcast about a week ago, which I watched, and he was like, answering all these questions. And previously, when I talked about Anthony, I had to be quiet and not say anything and sort of try and be sort of respectful, because I didn't because I knew stuff that he'd been kicked out of CardioFlex. He was just not listening to any of the rules. He was just crazy. He wants to punch on all of the time, and he just couldn't be tamed. So we like,
He
out,
likes to smash.
you're out,
Yeah.
We kicked him out. So, but I didn't say that, But yeah, on the podcast, he said himself, "Yeah, I've got a bit of a bad reputation." He lost his first fight. He's coming back to fight again. This is a guy who got like a contract with the Mokhtarian brothers a year or two ago. But just through ill discipline, didn't follow it up and didn't go to Sydney like they asked him to do all the training and so forth. Sort of got a little bit ahead of himself. Thought he hadn't even had a fight at this stage, but he's like, "I'm the champ. These guys love me. I'm the champ." Young fella, so it sort of got to him a little bit earlier than it should have. And in this podcast in the last few days, he's admitted a whole bunch of stuff that he was doing before his previous fight with DFC that he lost. That he's on the all sorts of stuff. Sounds like he's together and he's matured a little bit. So he'll be fighting Ibrahimi, who doesn't throw jabs.
How do you see that fight going?
Well,
the guys at sports bet just went,
we kicked him out, so it's like a bit of bad feeling.
You told us everything you needed to say, right there.
I think Ibrahimi's going to be too strong for him, guys. I reckon he's going to be too strong and he's going to be too intense. Lulios, or Lou for short, is much more of a striker, and this was always big problem. We're always saying like you got to bloody wrestle, you got to grapple, stop this bloody striking crap all the time. You've got to round it out. I want to fight. No, you've got to do this as well. Never did it. Says he's been doing it now, but he's still a white belt. So in the ground game. So I wish everybody the best, but I know that Ibrahimi has got a great ground game, and that's his thing. He's going to go like he did in his first fight and really impose strength via the clinch, and then maybe judo throw, takedown, look for ground and pound. Lulios is going to struggle like he did in his first fight if Ibrahimi does that to get back up and impose his striking game. Lulios almost knocked out his opponent last time he fought with a big overhand right, which he did really well with, but he immediately got taken down.
Double knockout by overhand right. That's 2 minutes and 9.
So you're saying it's going to be a takedown and then ground and pound in the first minute.
Lulios, who's, as we said before, just been a striker, and we've always trying to discipline him to be a grappler. He's like, no, I'm great at grappling now, and he promised on YouTube the other day that to prove to himself, he's definitely going to turn the tables and he's going to go for a takedown against Ibrahim.
Well, we'll be watching out.
Yeah, that's
we'll be watching
not
out.
a good move, but yeah.
I'm with you, brother. I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work out for you.
He doesn't need to prove anything. He just, God, okay.
Well, that's the first fight. Yeah. That's the first fight, so I'm pumped for that. Two young
the card kicks off well.
Yeah, I've got Ibrahimi.
Ibrahimi on that one. Okay.
Both are looking for their first win. Someone's going to get it. I reckon Ibrahimi will get it. Good luck to Anthony as well.
There you go. I think he smoothed it all over at the end. That's beautiful. Yeah, nice one.
That was good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to replay that pause that you did like over and over. You can see you thinking, how can I say this nicely?
Very diplomatic.
Yeah. He's young. That's his thing. He's just young. Well, when I was his age, I was an absolute dickhead. I'm still trying to get rid of a little bits and pieces of that,
It's a work in progress.
Yeah. I'll be about 90 and I'll be a little bit less.
What else do you like the looks of on the card?
Well,
what excites you as you glance through the names and you think, that's a cracker. Did you put that one on just for me?
When
just
you get
for me and Andy.
When you get like to the heavyweights, you go from a featherweight into a heavyweight fight. It's just there's excitement, isn't there? Because
Oh,
a 3-rounder and it's
are,
gone
are
to
we, are we talking about the Vanilla Gorilla?
no, not even
Oh,
yet.
oh,
Yeah, your favourite.
he's my favourite. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where my money is. Yeah,
he's the podcast favourite, isn't he?
he is. He is. He's Daily Combat endorsed.
He's
That's
very good.
yeah.
Absolutely. Joe Brown.
But there's a guy called Reese Smith who started off at Cardio Flex when I was there years ago. I just call him Big Reese. He is that Tui Vasa kind of type. He's the Adelaide Tui Vasa. Really big, strong dude. Kind of fat.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Mark Hunt
There's no follow-up to that. You just said it.
Rich stays on the outside of the cage. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, you just said that and then just stopped. We understood what you meant when you said the Tui Vasa. You just clarified it completely.
Yeah. Reese has got that same kind of knockout power, though. You know, he doesn't come
Was
to
that what you meant?
down like Bill.
Oh, yes, makes sense.
His first
You meant
fight
both, I think.
was in DFC 5, and this is an amazing thing, which is 2018, 4 years
Wow.
ago now, guys. Amazing knockout at DFC 5. We were like, wow, he's going to be on the next show for sure. We didn't hear of him. He's gone.
Oh.
He's not gone, but he didn't. There's no like there's. He's had a bit of a layoff, and then he did a fight the next year in 2019, and he lost it over in Melbourne, I believe, under Eternal. So you never want to fight for another banner but DFC, of course, because that's where you get your wins. So he's going to come back 2-year layoff after his loss. So a win, really great knockout with us. He went over, Victoria and lost against Rick Lusney. 2 years off. I don't know why he's had a layoff, and that's the question mark, hey? But,
and through all your investigation, sniffing around and shuffling through the podcast, you've not been able to get to the bottom of that one yet.
I will, though.
Yeah, I bet you will. I bet you will. Yeah.
Where does he train at? Is he training at Cardioflex?
No, he's actually training at Trinity with the boys from Trinity. So great club. I think he's only going to have one game plan, which is just going to be, knock out. And I don't think these guys have got the gas to go the 3, probably, with
Most heavyweights.
the pace that they'll put on. He's fighting Nate Levin from Pro Fitness Victoria. Look out for that one. Both boys are Reese is 1-1, and of course Nate Levin's on his debut. Look out for Reese to knock him out, I reckon. Look out for that one.
Early knockout. Knockout or a lot of heavy breathing come late in the second round.
They should only make it 1 round for heavyweight.
Yeah.
No one wants to see you two hug each other for the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, no hugging. I don't reckon they'll hug. Next fight is a Sanchu fight, modified rules, no throws or takedowns with Mohammed Zayed, coming from one of the best, if not the best, amazing coach, Kim Johnson in Technicians SA, stand-up striking, Muay Thai sort of style. Mohammed Zayed's an absolute beast, 2-0, coming against Johnny Mano from Cardio Flex, 0-1. Johnny's going to have the work to do to beat Mohammed. That'll be a great stand-up striking fight for the next one. Then we go back to MMA. Couple of interesting. There's a whole lot still going on in the background, guys. In terms of injuries and little things. We can get these two together, and cool, we'll get another fight going. So some really interesting stuff. Next one, this is a real interesting one that you guys will both know both of the names here. Sekou Kamara.
Yes.
Kamara. That's how you do it.
It's favorite name to introduce, I believe.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah. Sekou Kumara.
Like that.
We won't blow out the microphone right now. Yeah.
He's fighting one of your favorites, Louis Passon.
Yes.
Louis, the junkyard dog Passon.
Yes.
So he's won 2 fights with us, and then he went.
American Motors, I think you find as well. We better just add that in just quickly.
And then he went to bloody Demolition Fight Series in Victoria 6 months or so ago, and he lost to this superstar called Harry Webb, who's now the Demolition Fight Series national champion, with about 6-0. That's a bloody good record in this game.
Yeah.
Could be even looking, at Contender Series Dana White kind of situation for Harry Webb, who I believe will also be flying over to support a couple of fighters that he knows in the South Australian crowd for DFC. So look out for Harry Webb, the Demolition Fight Series superstar with 6-0 to support a couple of fighters. But look, Louis lost to him 6 months ago, looking to obviously get a win back in the column against Sekou Kamara, who's 9-3, so he's lost all 3 fights. You look at him and you think, geez, this guy's he looks a little bit Anderson Spider Silva / maybe a very small John Jones, or very
rangy, very muscular
movement. Really, really exciting fighter. But if you're just looking at the record, you think, oh no.
Yeah. His record doesn't give you full indication as to how entertaining a fighter he certainly is. So.
Yeah, look, he's put on some great fights. His weakness will be the ground game. Sekou's, I believe, but Louis is not really, I don't think he really wants to. We've never really seen him grapple before, or want to actually take it into that territory. We know that Louis Passon wants to stand and bang, overhand, right, left hook. The question is, fellas, is after losing to Harry Webb and taken into areas where he wasn't comfortable, the talk on social media is that Louis Passon has been worked out. We've figured him out now because Harry's winning. So
no one works out the junkyard dog. Let's just put that straight right now. Yeah. So
I love it. No one works out the junkyard dog. So Louis Passon, Sekou Kamara, interesting fight. I think Louis Passon will do something different though than what we've seen. You know what I mean? Remember the 12-second knockout against Samuel Nagelki?
Yeah, at Apex.
Yeah. Super
It's
amazing.
Devastating. Yeah, yeah. So a bit more of that perhaps coming on the day.
Yeah. I think Louis might feel quite comfortable with taking a bit of his time with Sekou. I reckon he'll probably be stronger and faster, better movement and distance management than Sekou. He'll feel more comfortable earlier, and I think Louis will win that everywhere it goes.
Okay. So all the money's on the junkyard dog.
Yeah. We're going all in on the junkyard dog. Not really. We wish you all the best as well, Sekou.
Yep. So I mean, big matchup, couple of young local lads, and it's always great to see local fighters in the ring. And any other interstate talent that you've got your eye on that's crossing its way over the border?
Well, we've got a name who has been interstate and has just come back to South Australia. It's only rumours that I hear he's been away, but you might remember the old name Isaac Richards.
Yeah.
The old Adelaide goalkeeper for Adelaide United, who came and just absolutely smashed PJ Van Guy in the round 1 knockout and they made a documentary about him, about the setup. Did you guys watch that?
I haven't seen the documentary. No.
Oh, really, really good. I star in it, of course. So I was, asking him questions before the fight. And it was very important.
What's it called? The documentary?
Rich Warner interviews.
I've forgotten the name of it. But amazing. It goes about 40 minutes. Really, really good, guys. Just put in Isaac Richards in YouTube and you'll find it. He used to be a Cardioflex boy, right? He fought under their Cardioflex banner. Quit being the Adelaide United goalkeeper because of the training and relationships that he built with Cardioflex. Now, I don't know exactly all of the details. I really don't. I want to find out.
Is it in the documentary, maybe?
No, we need to do another documentary.
What happened since? Yeah, part 2. Yeah.
Well, something's
Pathway
happened.
to DFC 15. Yeah.
Something's happened with Isaac Richards in Cardioflex. He's not there anymore. He's gone on some spiritual journey. Being told he's away on a spiritual journey chasing alligators and eagles.
Yeah.
And he's come back. He's come back, and he's gone up a weight division, and he's come back to fight.
A new man.
Which is, when you're the matchmaker and you're cardio flex and you're the matchmaker of DFC as well, and then somebody has a bad relationship with you, but they still want to fight. They're crazy because you could set them up with anybody. Well, Isaac Richards up with. He's set up with Damien Vola, who's obviously fighting at Eternal this weekend. Yeah. Vola, oh my God, this is
Isaac's going to be having a keen eye on the pay-per-view for this weekend, so to see how that goes out.
Damien Vola looks like a massive, big, crazy Viking, right? Just coming out of the jungle or something, but he's actually very technical, very skillful, and I believe Isaac is just an explosive, raging bull, but Vola will piece him apart. Take him apart piece by piece. Technically.
Big victory there.
Yeah, you just got to stay away from the crazy raging bull. So interesting.
Sparks will fly. That's one to watch out for. It could go either way.
Yeah. Then we've got another Sanchu fight with a Chow Kai Zan fighter who we haven't seen. Chow Kai Zan, the club there under Tuesday Chow. Represented for quite a few years. So we're really excited to see Jermaine Guglielmi come down and fight Sadiq Asifi. Now, the question is Chow Kai Zan, they haven't put a fighter out for a few years, and the last fighter they did put out, a good old mate of mine, Matty Medistash, got smashed, unfortunately. He got absolutely obliterated and his face turned completely inside out, basically, in a very quick, short fashion.
Too much emphasis on the chi mastering, or how that? What was your?
Was it in Sanchu or was that in MMA?
I'm sorry.
Was that in MMA or was that in Sanchu?
No, it was MMA. They've always been an MMA club, but Guglielmi, I've never heard of before. Had a conversation with him, but he's going to do a Sanchu match against a guy who I don't think he should have taken the fight with, called Sadiq Asifi. Now, I haven't seen Guglielmi, but I have seen Sadiq Asifi because he fought on our Muay Thai card a year ago at Norwood Oval, and he was, can I say the F word?
Yep.
It was fucking amazing. It was amazing. Didn't do a thing wrong. Everything was just beautiful. Just obliterated his opponent in devastating fashion. I want to see more of Sadiq Asifi. This guy is incredible. Guglielmi has to be good to beat Asifi. I think it could be a very bad day for Chow Kai Zan Club again. So there's that. So we've got some good stand-up striking, just total striking fest if you like that. And then of course we've got Josh Watkins from CCMA Complete Control against Cam Sinclair from M16. Really interesting fight, that one, the featherweight division. Then of course we've probably got your favourite fellas. You got your favourite in Joe the Vanilla Gorilla. Yes. Brown, who just loves DFC. He's on every DFC card, but one, except for one about 2 DFCs ago, he was matched up. But the guy, remember in his chat with you that his opponent from said he had some bar fight with some bikies, 40 bikies, or something like that. And I beat them all up though. And that's the only time Joe Brown wasn't on the DFC card, but he's back. Is it going to be another KO or fight of the night for Joe Brown? Super exciting fighter, but out of 3 fights, decision for Joe. You think he's a knockout artist, and he is. He certainly carries a lot of power in his punches, fellas. But decision. I reckon he'll be looking for the KO against a guy called Ben Dawes from Mildura, who's 2-0. So Joe Brown 2-1. Ben Dawes is 2-0, never lost. 2-fight win streak. Could be an absolute barn brawler. Burner.
Barn burner.
Barn door burner.
Cup drinker.
Look,
and
not
any
in any boring fights ever, is he?
And any rumours swirling, any controversy on the card at this stage, Rich? What are they whispering to you behind those closed doors there at DFC?
Uh,
The inside
nothing much.
man.
We can make some shit up though, if you like. We've got a really interesting fight in Adam Collette from M16 club, who's 1-1 versus John Lockhead. Remember the steak knife John Lockhead that you announced?
Steak knives, yes.
Steak knife?
Yeah. He was very gracious. He didn't really much care how his name was pronounced. So
Yeah, that's right.
get the steak knife right. Yeah.
So Lockhead from Mildura is back again. This is for an amateur title against Adam Collette. The interesting thing, if you want to, talk about what's happening behind the scenes, is that Adam Collette's best buddy from his own club M16 is Cam Sinclair, and Cam fought John on that fight that you were remembering.
Yeah.
It's like Adam, his best buddy, has lost to John Loughead, so now he stepped in to take on the mantle and see if he can win the club, I think, against the state knife.
Yeah.
So, a bit of retribution. And then, of course, we've got the final fight, fellas, which should be obviously amazing. We've got a guy called Tristan Mad Dog Murphy, all the way from Queensland. This guy's an absolute welterweight.
You have a little bit of money on anybody who's going with Mad Dog as a nickname, don't you?
Right,
you can't completely discount him.
You can't choose that name without being quite good.
Yeah. you can't make that name up yourself.
I'd like to see the Mad Dog versus the Junkyard Dog for the dog
title. Yeah. There should be a separate trophy, much like this one, for instance. There should be a separate one. Title, that belt.
Top dog trophy.
Yeah.
His name's Tristan Murphy, Dave. So maybe you should do it like with an Irish accent.
Yeah. Well, I could do a jig, maybe.
But which Irish accent would you like, sir?
He does them all. All two of them.
Tristan Murphy, he's an Australian welterweight superstar.
Doing an Irish accent is probably not advisable. He probably
maybe not.
Punch me in the face. Yeah.
It's all a good doing all these jokes about fighters. So
to be sure,
realize
bang.
they can kill
you. So look, he's been around the traps. He's had 14, 15 pro fights before. We've talked a lot about Eternal MMA, which will be on this weekend, but Eternal MMA, he used to be the Australian welterweight champion a few years ago. So he's been, at the very, very, very top, ranked number one. He's had a couple of fights where he's lost in between now and then. So, the big question is, okay, we're going to give you the highest stage to really perform. So Tristan Murphy, is a real strong grappler. Really, really throws a lot of overhand bombs. Doesn't like to, as we said before, throw many jabs.
He's the top dog.
You just completely ignored
me. That's professional. That's a man that knows how to carry a pay-per-view. Yeah, right there. He saw straight through your juvenile jokes.
Yes, that's right.
And continued through like a professional. Because that's what Rich Warner does.
He does.
That's why that man's going to be on the UFC, and we're going to be stuck on the Daily Combat Podcast forever. So Tristan, you like the cut of his jib.
I like the cut of his jib. I can't do that. He's a great fighter. He's fought some massive names. Shane Mitchell lost. His last loss was to a guy called Rick Alchin, who Tristan Murphy has also fought. He's also fought a guy who's now in the UFC called Ben Alloway. He might have been out of the UFC, maybe retired by now, but also fought him. He also fought Anthony Caruso, South Australian boy, who is now, I believe, fighting at 1FC. As we talked about, 1FC. So he's right up there. His last win was against a guy called David Martinez in November 21 by guillotine. He's won 3 KOs, 4 submissions, and lost, a few KOs and subs and a couple of decisions as well. Really strong wrestling, heavy ground and pound. But we have a little bit of possible news about our superstar Triple A, anytime, anywhere, any place, Shane Mitchell from CardioFlex, who's possibly, we hear along the rumour vine, that's possibly carrying some sort of calf injury, which could possibly, it could rule him out of the fight. We don't know. I don't have the final word exactly on how deep the injury is and how bad it is, if he can actually fight or not. But we haven't got the final word on that, or if there is a possible replacement in the wings. But we know that we're pretty sure that there is a fight that will be going ahead with Tristan Mad Dog Murphy, and he's coming down absolutely ready, and we will have Shane Mitchell or a suitable replacement against him. But yeah, hoping that Shane Mitchell's not too injured and he'll be ready to go.
So I mean, that's not confirmed in any way, but the rumor might be a Daily Combat podcast exclusive. The rumor. So so I'll take that. I'll take a rumor. Yeah. That's fine. That's good. Well, mate. And mate, now we're getting a few fights in now after COVID's passed, and how do you see a new pecking order starting to emerge in Australian MMA? Are you seeing some new exciting names that have come that are floating to the top, or are you seeing the same people who were fighting well a few years ago re-entering the fray and enjoying success in the cage?
Yeah, both. It's a great, interesting question. Yeah, you do see, what's the word for it, Matty, when you have the old guy who's been around and he just keeps fighting. You might,
journeyman.
Yeah.
I think that does well describe you as well. Yeah, if you
me,
yeah,
I've never been defeated in the cage.
Yeah, no, not once.
Yeah, I've never been in this.
I love the journeyman because you can only have one winner, guys, and not everyone's going to win 50 fights and have no losses. It's pretty impossible. So, if you've got a record of 6-5, then you're an awesome fighter. You're one of the best. So yeah, look, anything better than that, you get up to the UFC pretty much. Well, a little bit better than that, but yeah. So, but there's amazing new talent and new names that are just popping up from all over the place. At a rate of knots, which is, fourfold, fivefold than what it was 5-10 years ago. MMA clubs in Australia are doing super, super well. It's obviously, such a popular sport that, that's what young kids want to do these days, and everyone wants to be a fighter. So there's a bigger pool of talent and better talents coming up. And great. You see amateur fighters, and the level that you see for their first fights is much higher than what it was 10 years ago. So, yeah, really exciting.
So exciting times ahead for Australian MMA, and of course, Rich Warner, you'll be cage side. You'll be calling the fights there at DFC at the Adelaide Oval, 1st of October. All kicks off at about 6 p.m. So 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. So make sure, if you haven't already, make sure you bookmark that pay-per-view and get in there. I believe it is sellout. It's a sold. It's all tickets are sold or very, very close. It's the tickets on this occasion sold in record time.
Yeah,
there's but a handful of tickets left if you can find them. If not, I think Rich and I have got some complimentary, so we'll take serious money for those ones. Yeah, I'll even get Rich to sign one for you for an extra $10. So thank you very much, Rich Warner, for joining us on the podcast once again. Your insights are amazing. Your expertise is unsurpassable. And my friend, I look forward to seeing you cage side on the 1st of October.
Yeah, super excited, guys. Love yous. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome, mate. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Rich Warner.
Yeah.